last week, I went to the Kennedy Space Center, right? John McBride is in the audience right there, who's the CEO of Foundria and one of our partner companies, an awesome guy. This is his dad. And so Captain McBride is a real astronaut. I mean, he's a real deal. And John said, Nick, have you ever been to the Kennedy Space Center? And I was like, no. And I said, I'd love to go. And he goes, what? Let me shoot my dad an email. And we got some dates. And I'm going to tell you, when an astronaut invites you to come see the space shuttle, you say yes. And so I got to go have this really awesome tour. He flew this. This is the space shuttle right there. It's a real thing. It's not a model. And Captain McBride was the pilot on 2 missions. So he's gone to space twice. Super cool. So I'm going to show you some pictures about this. It's a beast. It's huge. I mean, look at this, right? Let me go back. Yeah, horsepower. But the best thing of all, right? Saw all the gear, all the stuff. The best thing of the whole visit was the connection I had with Captain McBride. Listening to him tell the stories of what it was like to be in space. And, you know, when he would tell me the stories about his friends that died on the Challenger and the Columbia, and he tears up, I could feel that. You know, I could feel his story of the first time he saw the Earth. You know, so the bays open up, he looks down, it's Australia, and just tears, you know, and it's awesome. Let's talk about this. This is another story. That's Burning Man. And so this is really what got me to where I am today, right, on this path about telemedicine and standing up here wearing a kilt and pink socks. And so what Burning Man is 70,000 people in the desert in Nevada for a week that go out there for lots of reasons. I went the first time in 2010. I lived in Nashville. I was a healthcare executive in Nashville, and I went mainly to the desert to unplug, to disconnect from the real world, from the default world, right? Just to not connect, you know, I just wanted to. But what I found from my experience was it was all about connection, yeah? And so I spent a week in the desert with people I'd never met, doing a whole lot of this, a whole lot of hugs, a whole lot of connection. And back to that thing, you know, it's that thing we all crave is connection. And it's the thing that telehealth helps us do, right? Not just telehealth, but, you know, all of digital health and mobile health. Technology helps us get this warm, fuzzy for me feeling like this, like the hugs do, yeah? So that's me. Okay, so I was a healthcare executive in Nashville. I looked like this a long time ago. I had hair, but I was that guy. And I said, you know, I got back from Burning Man. I said, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I want to be this guy. You know, I want to just hang out and give hugs and, you know, live in Portland. And something happened. So my mom lives in a little town in North Alabama, right? So it's 2,700 miles away, as far as you can get, you know, from Portland to Alabama. And she lives by herself, and so I'm trying to help manage her care, right? And so she go to the doctor, call the doctor and say, hey, how was my mom's visit? You know, first I'd call her and say, hey, well, how was your doctor's visit? And she'd say, oh, he said this and that. And I go, oh, okay. So I call the doctor's office, and the doctor's like, well, you know, I'm in with a patient, or the nurse is busy, we'll call you at the end of the day. They don't want to call me back. I mean, they just want to go home, right? They're busy. And so I'm like, this is getting to be problematic, you know, to try to communicate. I've got all the paperwork in place, durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions, make sure that was in her chart, came up with a little secret password so I could give that to them on the phone. But then my mom, she had a fall, right? And she had to go to the hospital. I was like, ooh. And so I couldn't get a flight out of Portland to get there till the next day. And so I'm calling the hospital and say, hey, well, we can't talk to you. And I'm like, well, the doctor's got, you know, the durable power of attorney, I know the secret password to talk to the doctor. And the doctor's like, you know, I can't really talk to you. But, you know, and can you fax me some stuff? And I said, no, because my fax machine is broken. That's my fax machine because a couple years ago, I just said I'm done with it, and I opened the back door, and that's about as far as it made it into my backyard. So I said, I don't have a fax machine. And I'm like, well, look, this is not Star Trek stuff we're talking about here. You could, you've got a phone, right? Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's texting. Can't we just communicate like normal people? Yeah, and so you don't even need to be trained on how to use this thing, right? That's Bill Bunting. He's in the audience, W.T. Bunting on Twitter. That's Bill Bunting's daughter, and he's got a 4-year-old son. Bill says the 4-year-old knows how to use the phone to call Grammy all by himself. So, I was like, phones, super easy to use. And then I was like, video, what about that? Well, we live in a video world, right? Every minute, there's 500 hours of video uploaded to YouTube, every minute. So I was like, ding, what if we could get my mom an iPhone and convince her and her doctor to just kind of record this for me and send it to me, and it'd be all safe and secure, and nobody's going to see it. Secure, store, and share video, right? That's what the Med Video, that's our API, that's what we developed. And it enables any technology company that wants to have HIPAA-compliant video in their flow to be able to do that. And so what am I really talking about? So back to the Star Trek thing. Basically, if you think of a video file as the away shuttle, right? And if you remember, every time the away shuttle leaves the Enterprise, goes down to a planet, it's always inside the tractor beam, so the Klingons can't shoot it, keep it safe. So the video file is the away shuttle, we're the tractor beam. So our API keeps the shuttle safe, right? It's safe when it's in the Enterprise at rest, it's safe in transit on the way. And it's very cool technology. So our CTO, big, hat tip to him, Andrew Richards, and our development team did that. And so when we think of telemedicine now, it's like this, right? Which is cool. A live feed, stay home in your jammy pants. It's totally the way to go, right? So whether you're using something that the hospital provides to you, or Doctor on Demand, or MD Live, or Teledoc, or any of the other ones, it's a no-brainer, right? So what if we could take all the benefits of telemedicine, right? And being able to share information like this and record it, have this archive, right? It's like if I had, telling that story about Captain McBride, and I just said, I got memories of it and how awesome it was. And I can still feel those when I think about it. But man, if I would have just said, I want to interview you, can I just tell me, because I want to be able to play this back for my friends. And the stories are just so awesome. And I'm sure he would have said, yes, John, right? But it was like one of those, oh, I should have recorded that story. And so the same thing happens all the time with information from your doctor, your provider, right? Whether it's discharge instructions or just going in to see them, they're going to tell you what you need to do for the next 4 weeks, how to take your medicine, things to avoid, et cetera. You want to share that information. You want to review it yourself, and you want to share it with part of your care team, your family, right? In case like me trying to get information from my mom. And so when we normally think about video, back to the YouTube thing, all that video normally it's a one to many, right? So you're shooting this video just like we're all on Twitter. We're trying to get as many people to see our stuff as possible. Well, this is different, right? So you don't really want anybody to see this except the people you've defined. And so you can say, I'm going to record this piece and I'm going to share it with this person, this person, this person, but it can't go anywhere else, right? So I think it's kind of like, we've heard it called Snapchat for healthcare. Sometimes people refer to Med Video as that. It doesn't allow the video to even be saved to your phone, right? So if you just grab your phone out and shoot a video, if you're using an app that uses our API behind the scenes, that video doesn't go to your camera roll. You can't save it to the cloud. You can't do anything with it. It's safe and secure in the tractor beam. And only the people you say can see it. And you can set rules on how long we want to store it. Does it auto-delete after everybody's seen it once or 5 times, or it's been there a month or 6 years or 7 years, or do we want to put it in glacial storage so it's always there? There's different rule settings that you can set as an admin. So it's really pretty cool stuff. We launched MedVideo almost last year, right? So April, HIMSS was in April last year, yeah, in Chicago. And today we have 185 companies, tech companies from around the world that have downloaded the documentation for the API and are using it in some form. And just right at a year. So the demand is there for asynchronous, right? People want to do this. And a lot of us here have been in healthcare for a long time. We know how slow the system moves, and people are always asking me, entrepreneurial people and startups stuff, what do you think about healthcare? And I said, well, if you're not in it, run. Don't get in this business. It moves too slow. But what's happened now is, as Bruce and some of the other speakers have mentioned, the reimbursement parity for telemedicine is increasing, and there's certain states that even have language specifically defining asynchronous as a reimbursable event. So technology's caught up with itself. People are becoming aware that they have choices. We all have phones, they're simple to use. We think we're at the right time, at the right place. You look at companies like CareNection and their network, right? As they deploy asynchronous, the ability to scale and to see more patients in a day, right? If I'm a provider, I can only see so many patients in an hour. I can't create more time. How am I going to increase my throughput? Well, it's much like when Al Gore invented the internet and we had email. We then had the ability to communicate at scale, massive, right? Asynchronously. And so that's the same thing. We communicate Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, any social media, email, text. That's all asynchronous, and it's convenient, right? So if I have the ability to record a little piece of dialogue with a doctor or a pharmacist or anything, right? To have that archive and say, I want to watch it later. I'm going to do this between patients. I'm going to do this when I'm dropping the kids off at school, watching the soccer match, et cetera. The convenience of that alone, the ability to see more people and get more shit done. So I hashtag GSD a lot on Twitter. If you wonder what that means, that's what it means. So to be able to GSD, asynchronous lets you do that, right? These are some companies that you may not have heard of, so I want to kind of give them shouts out. Some of you have, but these are hat tips for companies that are already deploying asynchronous video in their flow in their apps, right? And everything from paramedic first responders to Maven Care, which is an awesome new company out of Canada that's doing home health in the senior market. To Twistle's a messaging app, HIPAA compliant messaging app. I mean, these are disruptors. These folks have all got pink socks. They're making a difference. Yeah, and you're going to see pink socks throughout the week. And there's pink socks already in the room here, right? And so I want you to see me if you want some pink socks. I've got some. But start the conversation, connect with people, make a difference. GSD for real, okay? And so what it's really all about, right, is why we come to these conferences. Like I said in the beginning, it's for connection. I mean, it's why people go to, we can say the real reason some of these people, the level reason that some people go to sporting events or church or concerts or, no, man, at the core of it, we come for connection, yeah, for a sense of community, for a sense of tribe, right? We see new friends, old friends at these conferences, and it's all for that sense of connection that we all crave. I mean, don't ask me, I'm addicted to Twitter, but I obviously crave connection. So thank you so much, and want a hug, want socks, I'm your guy.